I just had to give my 2 cents about this whole deal with Brian McKnight and his kids. They've been going at it ever since he got married to his current wife, Leilani. He's blasted his kids for being entitled and spoiled, and even changed his will recently, basically cutting them off.
It was mutual, but those posts made any roads towards reconciliation and acknowledging them a dead issue. And I changed my will the next day.
At this point, their relationship is non-existent. Now, Leilani already had 2 kids when they met, and Brian seems to have a great relationship with them. Just check out his Instagram and you'll see tons of posts about how amazing he thinks they are and how proud he is of them. I really think he's doing too much though. Seeing all that, I feel like his kids took it real hard because he's been neglecting their relationship. Meanwhile, he's over there taking care of another woman's kids. So they called him out. It all started when his first son, Brian Jr., made an Instagram post shaming him for turning his back on them. He really went in on his dad, saying he was hurt because of their broken relationship. His little sister, Brianna, made her own post soon after, talking about the issues she had growing up without a dad and how she grew up thinking he didn't love her because he never spent time with her. Now, she never said his name, so if he had just left it in the group chat, we didn't even have to know. But you know hit dogs holler, and he was mad as hell that his kids aired him out like that. So he went on the warpath. He made videos bashing his sons, calling them lazy, entitled and spoiled, talking about he always paid child support, sent them to the best schools, and bought his sons new cars all the time, yada yada yada. He says he got tired of taking care of grown men, so he told them it was time for them to get their together. He is basically done with them, and he even wrote them out of his will, as I said before. If you look at his Instagram bio right now, you will see where he says he is the father of Julia, Jack, Kekoa, and Brian Jr. So he's only acknowledging those kids as his. Him and Leilani have 2 kids together. The first one, Kekoa, didn't make it, but the most recent baby they decided to name Brian Jr., even though he already has a son with the same name. What other reason could he have to name a second child Junior when he already has one? He must have thought he could start back at 1 and get a whole redo with his new baby. And I guarantee you, he does not care what anyone thinks about his actions, since out of his own mouth, he said, "I make absolutely no apologies for naming my infant son Brian. I want him and the world to know that he is the one who is my true legacy. So I'll be over here continuing to love and protect my wife and or children as we continue to love our life." He is playing in their faces at this point, because how are you going to act like you don't have other kids, sir? I think it is sick that he's trying so hard to hurt his own flesh and blood. I get that just because someone is family doesn't mean you have to put up with them, but this is just wrong. He used to be pretty close to his 2 sons, Brian Jr. and Nico. They worked with him on his music for several years. They were his best men at his wedding to Leilani, but their relationship deteriorated over time once he started his new family. He says he got them an apartment and told them they had 2 years to get it together, but they were still waiting for his handouts. Leilani tried to get them jobs at a hospital, but they turned it down because they didn't want to stop smoking. They are grown men, so he really does not have to provide for them financially at this point. And I can understand feeling frustrated if you think your kids are wasting time and expecting you to foot the bill. His sons claim that they have been working all this time and paying their own bills. So I don't know, maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. Then things start getting a little crazy. He claims Brian Jr. broke into his house and put X's over their eyes in all the wedding photos. That's just messed up, and I'd be pissed as hell if it was me, but I can also see their side of things. Brian Jr. called out his dad for lacking empathy for the type of life he introduced them to, only to resent them for that life catching up with them. It's still kind of giving entitled, but he does have a little point, because this is the only life they've known. They were obviously used to a certain lifestyle growing up. Then, when they grew up to be the spoiled kids he raised them to be, he got mad about it. Now, he claims he's showing them tough love, and I can kind of get that, but he's taking it too far. Tough love doesn't mean you pretend that you don't have other kids. What he's been doing is just not a good look for him. Like, be disappointed. Set boundaries with your kids, but the way he's going about it just rubs me the wrong way. Jack and Julia are adults, and he still spoils them with expensive gifts. He just got Julia, his stepdaughter, a brand new car. They were all just on a private jet eating caviar for Jack's 21st birthday. So at what point will he cut them off? What's the age limit? Then there's little Brianna. They have a complicated relationship because it seems like he did not like this child from the get-go. She's the affair baby from his first marriage, and he tells anyone who will listen that her mama is trifling and only got pregnant to get his money.
Considering that her mother only had a child with me for money in the first place, and I'll reiterate this, I have not missed a child support payment. She goes to one of the most incredible private schools in Arizona. So I don't know where this is all coming from, but
So what did you expect when you were stepping out on your first wife? I personally have no pity for him. And even though he paid child support and sent her to the best schools, he definitely resents her and doesn't want anything to do with her because he's mad at her mama. So they never really bonded, and I can empathize with her because every little girl should have the influence of a good father. Every child should have the influence of a good father. It's not her fault that she was an affair baby. Brianna has been crying out for a relationship with him, but he don't want to hear that. As far as he's concerned, he's done enough. And it got even worse after he made some shocking claims about her and a relative. Back in 2019, after she made her Instagram post about her absentee father, he decided to lash out at her by making some very concerning claims about her and an alleged inappropriate relationship between her and one of her relatives.
And unfortunately, along the way, a couple years ago, I got wind that there was an older cousin who was above 18 who was quite possibly having sex with her.
She filed a lawsuit against him and they settled out of court. Brian saw that as further proof that she was in it for the money, just like her mom.
She sued me for defamation and breach of $1 million life insurance policy, and I agreed to pay her $318,000 with no admission of any wrongdoing whatsoever. You heard that right. She dismissed $1 million case in exchange for payment of $318,000 with no admission that I did anything wrong and no requirement that I retract my statement or remove it from the internet. I did not defame her. I made no false statements. I made up no stories. You can do what you will with that information in deciding who you think won the case.
So needless to say, on his end, there is no love lost between them. To add salt to the wound, he constantly posts about Julia and how she made him a girl dad, like he didn't already have a whole daughter all this time. It's very hurtful and really disgusting, the extent that he will go to hurt his child. I mean, all of his kids. And as a black man, it is sad to see him turn his back on his black children and not even make an effort to fix things. Meanwhile, he is happy broadcasting his amazing life with his perfect wife, stepkids, and the new Brian Jr. like he hasn't left a broken family behind. But what do you guys think? Did Brian Sr. have every right to cut his kids off? And what's your favorite Brian McKnight song? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Until next time.